Okay guys, hope you're all ready for the bus because it's coming here in only a few minutes. I've got my next gen list ready so I can try and sign a few players off it. But really, I know I'm supposed to tell you guys that the quarterfinals of the Champions League, it's going to be really tough. We're playing a good team in Barcelona, but we bet these guys 4-0 in the group stages on aggregate, so this should just be routine, okay? Just do what you do and we'll be fine. I know we've sold Kalen, they've got a Desi coming in, but we'll be sweet. Just get through this in semi-finals. Easy peasy, boys. Come on.
Looking for trouble and fights, but you found me. Now I'm a screw up, but baby, I'm glad you're someone to rely on, someone to rely on. No, I'm a screw up, but baby, I could be someone to rely on, someone to rely on, someone to rely on.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 165 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well and coming up. In today's episode, as you can see on screen, we're staying off with the next gen list. Also a few transfers that we have made off of this list, and off the back of that we will get stuck in to the Champions League quarterfinals where we do take on Barcelona after we did beat them in the group stages twice to finish on top of that group. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as I said, we're starting off today's episode with the next gen list for 2035. We've done some good work off of this list in terms of getting some young promising players to the club over the past few seasons, most notably a couple of years ago when we did pick up the likes of Radenko, Krollo and Luis Herrera, these days our starting wingbacks here at the club. And as you can see, a player who we did nearly sign a couple of years ago, might only have actually been 1 year ago. He is the top rated wonder kid in the world, and that is Guvan Kivank. Of course, he was a player who turned down both us and PSG to go to Leicester because they offered him a release clause where we didn't. He wanted to be able to escape Leicester just in case he wanted to go play Champions League football. So still not quite sure about that decision making of his there, but he would have been a great pickup. Unfortunately, he chose to go to Leicester, and he is the next gen winner for this season. In terms of Volsungur players on this list, you will be able to spot one there on the front page. We have 4 on the list overall. Both Krollo and Herrera are in the top 20. Krollo at number 8, Herrera down in 19th, which does seem a little bit harsh for a player of his quality. One of our new signings, Alagard, the replacement for Tomohiro Horikawa. He's still out on loan at Midtjylland, but he's rated 35, and also a player who we signed off this list last season, Wright, who has been in our under-19s the past season. He is ranked at 49th, albeit a player who doesn't actually have that much potential. So probably a player who in the end we're going to look to offload to a fellow Icelandic club once he does complete his development here at Volsungur, seeing as we do have quite good training and youth facilities these days. But those are the Volsungur players who were on the next gen list for 2035. And jumping forward a few weeks off the back of that next gen list over to the transfer centre, and you can see that we have actually signed 2 players off of that next gen list for just over £1.5 million between them. The first of those is Diogo Falila from memory. Can't quite remember off the top of my head, even though I did just see it there when we were doing this recording. But I'm pretty sure he was a player who was quite high on that next gen list. We've signed him for £800,000. Doesn't actually have that much potential, so a little bit let down by him. But at the very least, he's going to be a useful addition for one of the other Icelandic clubs here at 19 years old. Has that 2.5-star potential and 1.5-star current ability. So he has joined the club, albeit, as I said, not as promising as I would have hoped for a player who I thought was actually quite high on the next gen list. And the other player that we have signed off of the next gen list this year is Krishnik Abazi. He comes to us from Grasshopper Zuluk for a fee of £575,000. He does look a little bit more promising. 3.5-star potential, 2-star current ability at only 17 years old, already valued between 8.6 and 10.5 million. So he actually looks like a really, really good pickup off of that next gen list this season. Adds even more depth in terms of young prospects coming through at the club in that left wing position. And he looks like a player who could potentially make his way into the first rotation once he does have a few years in our under-19 systems. Those are the players who we have signed off the next gen list this season. Falila, a little bit of a letdown, especially because we paid a little bit of a higher fee for him than we did for Abazi, who does look like he might turn into quite a decent prospect. But before we do get stuck into the semi-final against Barcelona, a quick recap on how the Deal to Bakar did finish at the end of yesterday's episode, which did include the second leg of the first knockout round against Dortmund. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it in the top right corner. But off the back of that, we have made the semi-finals of the League Cup yet again, and we have won it for a 13th time. We beat Nuts KR 3-0 in the semi-final. We're able to put out our best team for that game, 2 goals to Adam Saki in the second half after Nicholas Zimmerman scored after 10 minutes, and then we played Vala Reykjavik in the final. Again, we put out quite a strong team for this one, only managed to win it by 1-0 away from home, which is a little bit concerning. Would have expected us to win that game a little bit more comfortably, but we got the job done. And as I said, that means that we now have 13 Deildabikar League Cups here in Iceland next to our name, and those are the only competitive games that we have played going into the quarterfinals of the Champions League this season. We have an early chance to complete a domestic double in the middle of today's episode as we take on HK in the Icelandic Super Cup. But this is what the Champions League quarterfinals do look like. We are taking on Barcelona. Very recent history with these guys. We beat them twice in the group stages last week, 1-0 away from home and 3-0 at home. That second game actually quite important because we were without Kalen Rakasan for that one, and that of course is the case these days, but not due to injury because we sold him as he wasn't renewing his contract before the start of the knockouts. But this should be a team who we are capable of getting past based on what we did do in the group stages of the Champions League. Only a few months ago, the other ties, Man City versus Real Madrid, that is the one that we do need to keep an eye out on, because if we do get past Barcelona, one of those two teams are going to be our opponents in the semis, and the other ties are between Man United and Hertha Berlin. Man United in very good form so far in the Champions League this season, are the defending champs. You'd expect them to make the semi-finals, and the other tie is between Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain. But a quick look at Barcelona, because we are quite familiar with these guys off the back of playing them in the group stages. Currently second in the Liga. They've made one big addition to their side since we did last play them in the transfer window. We noted that yesterday, Giorgio Adesi signing from Bayern Munich. That could make a little bit of a difference up front for them, but that is the only notable change to that team that I can notice since we did play them in the group stages. And we do want to be beating these guys quite comfortably, ideally, because if we do get past them, like we really should be based on that group stage results, which we did pick up, we could be taking on Real Madrid in the semi-finals, or a team which are going to beat Real Madrid in the semi-finals. And as you can see there, Real Madrid quite a bit better than Barcelona this season based on the standings in La Liga. So ideally we pick up quite a comfortable win here. Otherwise we might need to potentially consider a few changes going into that semi-final if we take on either Real Madrid or Manchester City in tomorrow's episode. But before then, we do need to get past Barcelona, and thankfully we have no injury concerns going into this one, so we'll come back shortly with the team sheets before the first leg from the new camp of these Champions League quarterfinals. And here are the team sheets for this first leg. Barcelona at home are up first, and as we did see before, they look very similar to the group stages, just that addition of Adesi up front. In terms of us, it is our best 11 these days with Bruno Costa in the Mazzala with that sale of Kalen Rakasan. But as I said, no injuries, and hopefully we can pick up a good result here to take back to Iceland for the second leg. And only 2 minutes into this one, we have a highlight, and it starts off here with a throw-in for Barcelona inside the final third. Pedri starts to make his way inside the box. It's a shot there, and thankfully Carl Vollen does tip that over the bar, so an early chance there for Barcelona, even if it wasn't that great of one, but they get on the front foot here nice and early. Ravella will put that one into the mixer, but Denelli will head that clear. Nicholas Zimmerman will pick up the ball. He gets cut down there by Balde, starts to clinch at his knee. Hopefully he'll be fine. No injury icon has popped up, so hopefully he can last this one, and it's still 0-0 approaching the 10-minute mark. And now we go forward to the 23-minute mark for our next highlight. This time we have a throw-in inside the final third, and we hold on to the ball here just outside the box. Filippo Donelli finds Radenko Krolo in a little bit of space here down the right-hand side. Mizkic with a shot, was pretty good height, but unfortunately off target and about halfway through the first half. It is still 0-0 here at the new camp. And that is half-time in this Champions League quarterfinal first leg. We have been a little bit more dominant in terms of stats. One highlight there for each team in that first half, but the scoreline does remain 0-0. We are going to be forced here into a change at halftime, though. Zimmerman, after that early highlight where it did go down, his heart went down to red late in the first half, so I think we'll play it safe here, take him off at halftime. Agatigere will come on for him, and hopefully we can play in a similar sort of fashion and get a goal here in the second half, locked up at 0-0 as we get back underway. And we've gone forward now to the hour mark. No highlights so far in the second half, but Mizkic and Saki are both struggling. I think we'll just for now take off Mizkic. Jonata can come on for him, and hopefully that will fix a few things. We'll also try a mixed crosses, see if we can get on the front foot. Still locked up at 0-0 with a half hour to go. And just shy of 10 minutes off the back of our second substitution, we are about to make our last one as Chelsea are 2-0 up against PSG, in case you're wondering about that other quarter-final. But Saki is struggling, so Fabio Mariano will come on for him. We'll put Agatigere up front. We'll also go to low crosses with Mariano coming onto the pitch, and we'll try and go a little bit wider, see if that helps. Still 0-0 with about 20 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that last substitution, we finally have a highlight here in the second half. Barcelona looking to play out from the back. Almada, who did give possession to us in one of those games back in the group stages, he's on the ball, and yet again they absolutely gift the ball to us. That time I think it was Ravella, and Agatigere comes off the bench and rockets that into the top right corner. That could be a big mistake there from Barcelona, which gives us an advantage here in the away leg. They were trying to play out from the back. Ravella to Almada, back to Rovella, and then Agatigere just turns and rockets that into the top right corner. An absolute gift, and we make it 1-0 here with about 18 minutes left in the first leg. And inside the last 5 minutes of this one, we have been time wasting with 10 minutes to go. It was a corner there to Barcelona. We do deal with it, but this highlight will continue. Pedro with a shot. It is blocked, but we head that clear. Mariano can't quite get onto it. Balde gets the ball back for Barcelona. Hopefully we can hold on here in what has been a game of few highlights. 1-0 up, but Martinola puts this one towards the far post, and Giorgio Adesi, he leaps like a salmon, out jumps Radenko Krolo, and just like that, Barcelona will grab an equaliser, and that might be all she wrote going in to the second leg back in Iceland. We'll change a few things back to what they were before. We did try and start time wasting there, as that didn't quite work, unfortunately. We were a few minutes away from taking a lead back to Iceland, but this time Barcelona do strike back in their home league, unlike in the group stages where they did blow quite a few good chances from memory in the home game. But that is a good leap there from Adesi at the far post, puts that away and makes it 1-1 with only a few minutes left of this one. And we are now in injury time in this one. I've just tried to up the tempo a little bit to see if that will help. A very even game in terms of stats, and in the end you can't really argue with that scoreline, albeit that late goal is a little bit frustrating, as we were quite close to taking a 1-0 lead back to Iceland, but in the end Barcelona did really gift us that goal to Agatigere. They earned one there late on, and it is 1-1 going into the second leg. Not a bad result considering 2 out of our front 3 didn't really fire them. We did have to replace all of our front 3 throughout that second half, so not a bad result. Hopefully we can do a little bit better in the second leg and make our way through to the semi-finals, but this game is still wide open as it is 1-1 as we do go back to Iceland. Chelsea will take a 3-0 lead to Paris for the second leg of their tie as well, but as long as there's no injuries, which I don't think there should be, we'll come back shortly and run through the team sheets before we get stuck straight into the second leg in Iceland. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. Our squad exactly the same as it was for that first game, so no changes at all. Hopefully we can actually win this one back at my arena in Barcelona. Also look like they haven't made any changes as well, so no changes from the first leg, and we kick things off here locked up at 1-1. And just shy of the 15-minute mark, we have our first highlight here of the second leg. A throw-in here for Barcelona just inside our half, and Denali will tidy things up there, as Barcelona did briefly look like they might get a shot off there on goal to start off the second leg, but hopefully we can perform quite similarly to how we did in the home game back in the group stages, where we did pick up a 3-0 win, and that was also without Kalen Rakasan, albeit our midfield back then was Basicki, Guy and Dumbia, because Costa wasn't registered for the Champions League at that stage. But we're on the attack here. Another great chance for Mizkic. This time comes off the underside of the crossbar, somehow doesn't find its way into the back of the net, and it's still locked up here, coming towards the 20-minute mark of the second leg. And with about 10 minutes left here in the first half of the second leg, we have a corner. Filippo Donelli nearly loops that over the goalkeeper, but it also comes off the bar. As you can see, stats-wise now, absolutely dominating this first half so far, but still no goals and still locked up at 1-1 here, just shy of half time. And that is half time here in the second leg of this Champions League quarterfinal. Still 0-0 on the day and 1-1 on aggregate. We have absolutely dominated that first half though, so hopefully we continue that in the second half and can break through this Barcelona defence after hitting the woodwork there in both highlights that we did see from the first half, but fairly happy with how we are playing. Hopefully we can get the job done here in the second half and make our way through to the semi-finals for the 4th straight season. And not too long into the second half, we do have a throw in here. The Barcelona defender misses a header and Saki crashes that off the upright. The woodwork so far saving Barcelona, and it's still locked up here early on in the second half. And going forward now to the 57-minute mark, we are going to make our first substitution of this one. Lassana Doumbia has gone down to a red heart early. He does want to play a lot of games at the moment because we have promised him that he is going to be a star player for us. So we're going to take him off, put Mizkic into the midfield, and Jonata can go out onto the left wing. Still locked up here with just over a half hour left. And with just over 20 minutes left in this one, we have a highlight here in the second half, and we were on the attack there, but Barcelona do get the ball back. They pump it deep though, and Filippo Donelli is there to tidy things up, still well on top of them in this game. Hopefully we get some reward for that soon. Good chance here for Jonata. He comes off the bench and buries that into the bottom right corner off an assist from Nicolas Zimmerman, who we are going to take off now as well because he has gone down to a red heart. The goal scorer from the first leg, Agatigere, can come on for him. We'll also just be a little bit more disciplined as well to try and start implementing some of our time-wasting tactics here, but we've been really good so far in this one, and it's taken us until the 70-minute mark nearly, but we do get a goal, which we have deserved so far based on our performance in this one. Nice ball there from Zimmerman, and Jonata puts it away, and we are up by 2-1 on aggregate with only 20 minutes left. And only a few minutes off the back of that goal, we are going to make our third substitution now as well. Ali Ramadan's picked up a yellow card, only on a 6.4. Richard Waswa can come on for him, still recovering from that broken arm for these last 20 minutes. And only a few minutes off the back of that last substitution, we are down the other end here for a free kick to Barcelona. They take it short and start to get on the front foot here for Adesi, and Rafael Leao gets a chance. It's been their only attack so far in this game. They put that away in the bottom right corner, and despite all our dominance, we get a little bit sloppy there at the back the one time that Barcelona have been on the front foot, and just like that, we are locked up yet again. Rafael Leao, too much pace there for our defenders, and it's back all locked up here 2-2 with just over 15 minutes left. And we have just made our way now inside the last 10 minutes, and Barcelona are about to have a free kick here. We're going to get our players on yellow cards to ease off tackles. We're picking up a couple of these late. Looks like all of a sudden we are under a little bit of pressure, and unfortunately that free kick is still going to take place, and Ravella is going to try and put this into the top left corner. Comes off the woodwork, and it thankfully comes off Volin. It deflects, and he recovers to make the save there on the rebound, but Barcelona are starting to get a bit of momentum here late in this one. Hopefully we can get down the other end, because so far in this game the stats suggest that we have been the better team, but Barcelona really coming late at us. Here is now, it is Luis Herrera who picks up a yellow card. They have a corner go far post, but thankfully we block the shot from Leo. It actually comes back off him and goes out for a goal kick. There's going to be 5 minutes here of added time. Barcelona really starting to come at us late in this one. They're actually starting to almost even up the stats, but that does mean we are going to extra time. Barcelona, as you can tell by that XG graph, as I was saying, really coming at us late there in that second half off the back of that goal. They really did kick into gear, but we'll tell the boys we're not too happy with that because we really should have got that wrapped up in 90 minutes. We'll take off Luis Herrera on a yellow card, bring on Bokek for him. That will be our one change here for extra time as we get things underway. Locked up at 1-1 on the day and 2-2 on aggregate. And no highlights in that first half of extra time. The stats pretty similar to how they were there at full time in the game. So we'll kick off the second half of extra time. Only 15 minutes left before we potentially go to penalties, locked up at 2-2. And it's taken until nearly the 120-minute mark, but we finally have a highlight here in extra time, and it is a throw-in inside the final third of Barcelona. We do hold the ball here just outside the box. Hopefully we make the most of this, because this will be quite a harsh departure out of the Champions League, considering how well we have played here in the second leg. And Bokek will put that into the mixer, links up with Agatigere. There's the bench impact. Agatigere picks up his second goal of this tie. We will immediately start to time waste. We had just upped the tempo a little bit there to try and get something going late in that game, and thankfully it has worked, and we take a 2-1 lead into the last few minutes of this one. We'll also start to defend a little bit more narrowly, see if that helps as well. But that is a really good strike on the volley there by our Argentinian striker, come right winger. He has scored some very important goals so far in this tie, and hopefully that is the one which sends us through to the semi-finals of the Champions League for a 4th straight season. Bokek there, and for Agatere rockets that into the top left corner, and we are 1 goal up here with only a few minutes left of extra time, only 1 extra minute, and thankfully we get through that. That was a really scary one there against Barcelona, a team who we did account for fairly comfortably in the group stages only a few months ago. They certainly bought it a lot more there in the quarterfinals, but thankfully we eventually make that statistical dominance count for something, and we beat them here 2-1 in Iceland, and that means that we do go through to the semi-finals off the back of a 3-2 win on aggregate. That late goal that we did concede at the new camp nearly proving costly there, but thankfully that goal in extra time to Agatere does get the job done. So that means we are playing one of Man City or Real Madrid in the semi-finals. No matter who we do play in those semi-finals, though, we are going to have to outplay a game, because Real Madrid are a lot better than Barcelona, as we mentioned earlier, based on their La Liga position. And if Man City beat them, that only means that things will be even tougher in the semi-finals this season. But we do go through to the semis off the back of a win there in extra time 2-1 in our home league. Also going through our Chelsea, they just cling on there thanks to a late goal, also in extra time away from home. So it is Chelsea and Volsungur in the semi-finals of the Champions League. We'll come back shortly and see who each of us are playing in the semi-finals of the Champions League in tomorrow's episode. And we've gone for today off the back of that second leg of the Champions League quarterfinals, just doing enough there against the Barcelona team, who were certainly a lot better there than they were in the group stages a few months ago. But thankfully we get the job done and make our way through to the semi-finals yet again. And as you can see on screen, our opposition are going to be Real Madrid, the team which did beat us in the semi-finals of the Champions League 3 seasons ago. Hopefully this time we can get past them and make our way to a 3rd straight Champions League final. But they have defeated Manchester City 2-1 in the second leg after it was 2-2 in the first leg. So it is going to be Volsungur versus Real Madrid, and Manchester United did lose the second leg there against Hertha Berlin, but they absolutely blew them away in the first leg. They go through 7-2 on aggregate, as I said earlier. At the moment, they're probably looking like the strongest team in this competition based on their form in the knockouts, but it could potentially be a rematch of the Champions League final from last season if we and them can get through the semi-final in tomorrow's episode. But Manchester United are going to have to deal with Chelsea after, of course, they just got the job done there, much like us in extra time of their quarter-finals. So those are the results from the quarter-finals, and as I said, that sets up semi-finals of Chelsea versus Man United and Volsungur versus Real Madrid, and that is what's going to be coming up in tomorrow's episode. Interesting to note that the first leg of that one is actually going to be played at our home stadium, which is a little bit interesting because Real Madrid did finish second in their group behind Man United back in the group stages. Despite us finishing top in our group, we are actually going to be hosting the first leg, so what could be an all-important second leg there is going to be played at the Bernabeu. So we're going to need a very good performance in that first leg if we want to make our way through to yet another Champions League final. And before we do wrap things up for today's episode, we did play the Super Cup in between those 2 legs, and we picked up quite a comfortable 4-1 win there over HK, despite us putting out a rotated team in between that Champions League quarterfinal. 2 goals there to Elaine Basicki, as well as goals to Abdoulaye Corre and Jonata Valdemarson to grab one back at the hour mark. But in the end, a very comfortable win there, which means we have already picked up 2 trophies domestically this season. Hopefully, again, we can make it a domestic quadruple. But that will do it for today's episode. We've just got 1 game in between now and the semi-finals of the Champions League against Real Madrid. And yet again, we're probably going to put our rotated team for that, as it is a testimonial for one of our former players in Flavio Trubia, seeing as he spent quite a bit of time now at Breidablik. Thought would play along there and take those guys on in a testimonial for him. But that will do it for today's episode. We just squeaked through there against Barcelona, certainly a lot closer than we would have liked. But if you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video. And if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for the Champions League semi-finals of 2035 against Real Madrid, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.